Okay, we're just about to get started. So welcome to everyone. I'm going to be taking the place of Tanya tonight. So welcome to everyone to SD42 DPAC, the largest stakeholder at the SD42 education table, representing the parents of approximately 15,000 students. So welcome, and we'll do our call to order. First of all, we would like to acknowledge and are grateful that the work of DPAC and our PACs takes place in the traditional and unceded territories of the Halkamenim-speaking people of the Katzie First Nation and Kwantlen First Nation, and that we also recognize all of our First Nations, Métis, Inuit students, and their families in our school communities. We also want to acknowledge the generational harm and tragedies caused to our Indigenous communities throughout the history of residential schools. And I'm going to just throw a couple of links here into the chat so that they're here, but when the PowerPoint goes out in the PDF format, everybody will be able to access the links as well. And the first one is through FINESC for Indian Residential Schools and Resources, Hope for Wellness, which is the crisis line number for anyone that needs to talk to someone. And also, we just want to let everyone know that there is a Vital Conversations coming up on Wednesday, October 27th. The link is there. It's from 7:30 to 8:30. It is free registration, and it's an introduction to Katzie history, culture, and people. So we'd encourage everyone to register for that and participate in that. And that's coming up on Wednesday, October 27th, and the registration is free. So the link is in the chat. I'm also just going to put it up here. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Oh, I'm not sure that worked out so well. Okay. Okay, I'll fix that up later. Okay, thank you. So everyone, welcome. And we're going to go on to the agenda. The agenda was emailed out to everyone, so this is a condensed version just because it's easier to see. With the basic things, we've got a presentation with our special guests that are here today, Shannon, Sherry, and Trisha. And so we look forward to that. And then we've got old business and new businesses coming up. So the first thing is, can I get a mover to on the adoption on a motion that the agenda be adopted as distributed? And we have one mover. Can I get a seconder, please? Thank you. Seconded. Any discussion on that? On the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will call the question. Very much. And next is going to be the approval of the September 23rd, 2021 minutes. If I can get a mover, please, that the DPAC minutes of September 23rd, 2021 be approved as distributed. And that was emailed out to all of our members. Moved. Thank you. Seconder. See a seconder. Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the question then. Okay, I think that's everyone then. So we'll call it there. And the motion is carried. Thank you very much. And a quick introduction. My name is Chris Schultz-Sorensen. I'm filling in for Tanya Sargent, who is driving home from White Rock at the moment. So she'll try and join us a little bit later. So welcome to everyone, and I'm the recording secretary for SD42 DPAC. With that, I'd like to welcome our other executives who are here as well. And we'll move right into our first presentation here, which is SD42 Mental Health Strategy. And I'd like to welcome Shannon Durenzi, Sherry Scarrett, and Trisha Amla. Thank you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Chris. Trisha was unable to join us at the last minute, so it will be Sherry and I doing this. And what we wanted to present to you this evening is just an overview of a School District 42 mental health strategy. So the Ministry of Education has a provincial mental health strategy, and we've modeled our strategy after that. And the strategy is based on some funding that the province gives us, as well as some funding that came out of this year's budget. And so we've put a plan together, and we just wanted to spend a little bit of time introducing you to what that plan was. So on this slide here, you see basically why mental well-being, why a positive mental health strategy. And it really is from that belief that schools can play an important role in helping to support the mental well-being of our students. And then if you want to, thank you. So this is from the Ministry of Education and many of our other ministries. And this is an important slide, I think, because it shows the realm that the schools sit in terms of supporting mental health in schools. So you see the tier of compassionate system leadership and mental health promotion. In those tiers is really where education sits. So that's our childcare workers, our counselors, our staffs in general. That's the area they sit in. When we need to go a little further in terms of prevention and or intervention, that is when we should be engaging our community and our ministry partners to help us support it. So really our staff aren't doing long-term supports. They're helping connect families to those supports in the community. Yeah. So this is what the strategy is based on. So the Pathway to Hope, you will have heard a little bit about integrated youth teams, is part of the Pathway to Hope strategy. And this mental health in schools strategies has 3 areas. And Chris, you can do that pop up now, thanks. And these are the 3 areas. And so we've built our strategy around these areas, and we'll speak to each of them a little bit. Compassionate systems leadership, capacity building, and mental health in classrooms. And next slide, please. And so this is where we gather our information from. So we talk to partner groups at budget time. You've heard mention of the middle years development instrument and the early years development instrument. And now they've developed one for grade 11s called the YDI. And particularly the MDI and the YDI are students providing us with information. There's a student learning survey that comes out, the student forums. And so what we see emerging out of our data is really our students seeing a need for mental health and explicit mental health teaching. So what we have tried to do is build this plan around this information. What are our students telling us they need? What are our adults telling us they need? And then how can we create a plan that supports this? So from here, we're going to move into what have we done and where are we moving to in this plan? And I'll turn it over to Sherry.
Thanks, Shannon. So as Shannon said, a big part of this strategy and developing into this year was really taking a deep dive into all the things that we put into place over the past few years in support of mental health and well-being for our students and our school communities. So Chris, if you can, thank you. So we'll look at what's been happening at the elementary level. So a key piece at the elementary level is to make sure that we're actually teaching our students the strategies around developing mental well-being and mental health. A few of those programs, one is called the Mind Up program. And really that teaches our students about their brain awareness and how to help themselves to regulate their mindfulness. It is a social emotional learning program that is evidence-based. And we have got 5 facilitators trained in our district, and they then in turn train teachers in classrooms or whole schools who want to implement this as a program. And the next program, Everyday Anxiety Strategies for Educators, is actually a program developed by the Ministry of Children and Families and shared in partnership with the Ministry of Education. It replaces the Friends program that many of you may have had children that participated in that. And again, it's really looking at how do we build strategies to support when we're feeling anxious in the classroom. So we've got those happening with COVID. When COVID arrived, the EASE program actually moved to an online program. So that's been wonderful because teachers, staff have had access to that training, whereas before it was a much more limited training. Over the last year, we really focused on providing education series for mental health and well-being for students and parents. So we did have, for last year, we did have a distance counselor that was hired to support our online learners. And with that, he partnered with the Safe and Caring School Department, and we provided parent education sessions, student education sessions, really focused around mental well-being. The student well-being grant. So we heard about this through some other districts, what they were doing. And what we really want to see is student agency in taking care of their mental health and well-being. And so what we did is we offered student grants. So they were student initiated. They came up with projects and then filled out an application form. And the focus of the project was around how was their project going to improve student well-being in their school communities. And that was a really exciting thing to witness and to see our students engage in so many different levels. And so that is something we're hoping to continue with this year. And that was elementary and secondary. We heard loud and clear, both from our students, our staffs, our parents, our community, that we really needed more in-school supports to support the mental health and well-being of our students. And so this year, 2 years ago, we moved childcare workers into every single elementary school. And some schools had 8 hours all the way up to a full-time position, which is 28 hours. And what we heard from our students and our staffs is they wanted more. And so as part of our budget for this year, every school has a minimum of 14 hours of child care worker time. The role of the child and youth care worker really is supporting our students who are struggling in school with their school attendance and who are just struggling with being successful. And so their role is to work with the students, to connect with the families, to help develop plans so that students feel that they have a successful plan in their education. We also heard with COVID, what we saw was a lot of our community partners either moved to online or put a pause on some of their mental health services. And what we saw at schools is our students at the elementary level especially came and they met with their counselors face to face. And so there was a huge demand for elementary counselors last year. And so we increased the counselor time this year, anticipating that demand would continue as it takes time for all mental health services to open up again. And so we increased our full-time counselors by 1.2. Thanks, Chris. At the secondary level, the province has supported a mental health literacy program developed by Stan Kuchar, and UBC educates us around that. And when the curriculum was redesigned, mental health literacy, sexual health, substance use literacy shifted from different areas of curriculum into the physical health and education curriculum. And so our team, Safe and Caring Schools, has worked really hard to support our PE teachers to now implement and educate our students around the mental health literacy. And so we have, all schools have been trained in this program, and we really focus it at the grade 9 level, but some schools will use it through grade 10 as well. That's not to say that we're not teaching mental health literacy through all grades. This program was targeted for those grades 9s and 10s. So that's what we have happening for mental health literacy at the secondary. We have our Safe and Caring Schools teams, which I have the honor of being the district principal of. And we have an itinerant team, and that is composed of a childcare worker, a teacher, and a safe school coordinator. And the focus of that team is to really support our students and families who are struggling to get out of the house, that don't have the supports in place, where school just feels insurmountable. And so we have worked with our school partners to wrap around these families, engage our community partners, and really support the transition back to school and mental health. The Riverside program is a program that has been, it's at Riverside Center, and it's focused at the grade 9, 10, 11 age. And the focus is, the target is for students who have experiencing mild to moderate anxiety or depression. And our goal is, and they're struggling with school attendance. And so they come to us. It's a 3-phase program. And we work first around building community, building the skills and strategies they need to manage their mental health. We partner with child and youth mental health. And then from there, we shift the students into a more traditional learning classroom environment within our school, within the Riverside Center. And then from there, we then work with our students and our school community so that they can transition back to their home schools. Every secondary school was given Safe and Caring School blocks. So again, this is just kind of that outreach into the schools, and the role of the teachers that have these Safe and Caring School blocks is, again, to be monitoring school attendance and ensuring that if there are students that are struggling with attendance, that we're reaching out, that we're helping them to find the supports they need in place to attend school. And then I already spoke to the student wellbeing grants. So what's been happening for our staff? Last year was a hard year for everybody. And we heard that we needed to step in and really take care of our staff. And so we formed a wellness committee, which in this committee, there's representation from all our partner groups. So our QP, our MRTA, our partner employee groups, our MRTA, and the principals, vice principals. And we had a conversation, what is going to help at this time? And so we've implemented numerous things, but the one that I'm going to speak to today is we introduced the mental health first aid training. And so we have a teacher and a QP member in every school. Now, that was last year, so it shifted this year with movement. So we'll be revisiting that. But they participated in one-day training around mental health first aid and, recognizing the signs and symptoms of mental illness. How do we support? What are things that we can do to promote mental health? And so these are champions of mental health to support the adults in the building. Alongside that, our Aboriginal Education Department participated in this training, as did all administrators. Last year, during the course of the school year, we heard loud and clear from our school communities the significant impact that racism, discrimination, and hate was having on the mental health and well-being of our students and staffs and communities. And so in response to that, we formed a district anti-racism committee. Again, with representation from all our employee groups. At this point, we don't have students on that committee, but we are engaging the student voice. And what we're really looking at here is this first year, we're really looking at collecting the voice and hearing the experiences and what is it that we need to do as we re-examine our framework, our structures to ensure that we have a safe framework. So out of this came the 2 positions, Kenneth Headley, who is our district vice principal of racial equity and inclusion, and Amelia Laidlaw, and she is the helping teacher. And so they have been supporting our district in educating our staffs and moving us forward and leading our anti-racism committee. And the CELO grants, much like our student grants, these are offered for our staff. We know that staff well-being is so key as our staff walk into classrooms and support student well-being. So they these grants, groups of staff can come together and make an application. Maybe it's they want to read some information, learn something about well-being or mindfulness, or engage in practice. So those are the the staff grants. Compassionate systems leadership training, Shannon spoke to briefly. Over the course of the past few years, we've had 34 educators trained in this system, and we're really starting to begin to implement the strategies that people are learning so that it's not just within those that have been trained. And then we have a district helping counselor who is integral in supporting our school communities when students are having social emotional safety concerns. And so she does that piece, and as long as our diversity SOGI lead. And so we have, as that SOGI lead, our district helping counselor is always in communication with our provincial leads in the area of SOGI, and just supporting our staffs, our parents, our students in SOGI. And we have a lot of partnerships. So some of the key ones, one of the ones I'd like to highlight is the Alyssa's Wish Child and Advocacy Center. And so that is a very, that began years ago, but it is a very powerful group, just an honoring space where children who have witnessed or experienced abuse can go and be provided with wraparound supports. And so that is one of our partnerships. Ridge Meadow Foundry, if that's again for our families that have children that are 12 and older. And that's again looking at many different levels of care and around the mental health and well-being. Ministry of Children and Family Development, our RCMP. We've shifted from a school liaison model years ago, but we continue to work very closely to support each other to ensure that we've got student safety and well-being. We work with, when we have youth justice here, that's about our restorative work. So we do, sometimes we really want to work on sometimes when we're having some conflict between students or something has arisen, our restorative team will come in and really guide that, that conversation. And then START, that is Fraser Health. It's our assessment team. So when we have students that are struggling with just extreme, more severe mental health, this is a place that parents can call, students, staff, to get immediate supports in place. And that's when it's really acute. So that is, oh, sorry, I was just gonna say that's kind of the highlights of some of the things that we've put into place over the course of a few years.
Thanks. So the last piece we're going to do is just show you a little bit about what's upcoming. And I should have mentioned right at the beginning, Sherry Scarrett is principal of a Safe and Caring School, and I'm deputy superintendent, but Safe and Caring Schools is also in my portfolio. And so I'll just highlight a few things around the compassionate systems. Just a big overview. What compassionate systems leadership is it's a course that, it's a 4-day course that, as Sherry mentioned, about 34 of our staff have undertaken. It's put on by Dr. Peter Senge and Dr. Meta Bowl out of MIT. And it is really about how to have a big system like an education system be compassionate. And so we began with training adults, and now each of our high schools has a group of students that they're going to be beginning to train in terms of leading the work on compassionate systems in the schools. And then Sherry spoke to a number of these other ones that we're just going to go a bit deeper in the upcoming year. And you can go to the next slide. Thanks, Chris. And I think Sherry's speaking to this one.
Okay, have to unmute. So just a few things around social emotional learning. We've had a district committee for years now, and that continues to be a strong focus for our district. And last year we couldn't meet in person, so we had monthly social emotional learning sessions for any staff that wanted to engage and attend. What we're really going to focus on this year is getting the how and into the classroom, so really moving into that sense of agency and action. And alongside that, one of the focuses is going to be mental health literacy, specifically at the elementary level. You heard me speak to a program that we have at the secondary level, and what we've been getting lots of asks from our students, our families, our teachers is, what kind of mental health literacy program can we be bringing into the elementary schools? It's always really important when we choose a program around mental health literacy that it is well researched and supported. And so that's the piece that we're looking at this year as part of the strategy, is finding a program, identifying a program, piloting it, and then ideally implementing it in the years to come. As well, trauma-informed practice. So over the years, people are really becoming aware of the impact that trauma has on our students and their learning in the classroom. And so moving forward, what we've heard is teachers want to learn more. You may have heard like a trauma-informed classroom. What does that mean? What does it look like? How do I implement that? How do I create that sense of safety? And so we have partnered with a psychologist who, this is her area of expertise, will be offering sessions for staffs that would like to do that. And then she'll be taking a deeper dive in with those school teams to really explore how to implement that in our schools.
And mental health in our classrooms. So in the core competencies currently exist K to 9, grade 10 to 12. They're in the new reporting order. They're now going to be requiring us to report on. So we're going to start talking about how does that look grade 10 to 12. The Indigenous knowledge and perspectives. I think you may have heard that we have partnered with Dr. Amy Perrant from UBC, who's doing a very extensive look for us in terms of how we're supporting Indigenous students and Indigenous learning in our schools. So she is mid-process for us now, but out of that report will come a number of recommendations that we will be attending to as well. Currently right now, our staffs have been doing training with both our AB Ed department who have been integral to that, and a number of specialists have come in to support that. And then the PE curriculum, Sherry, do you want to just touch on?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, when the redesigned curriculum rolled out, mental health literacy, sexual health literacy, and substance use literacy moved into the physical health and education curriculum. And so we have spent a significant amount of time partnered with our our substance use prevention workers, Alouette Addictions, and some other provincial partners, providing our physical education teachers education around how to teach substance use literacy. We've, as I've spoken to at the secondary level, we've done the mental health literacy. And the one area that we heard at our student forum that we really needed to focus on, we heard it from our students, we've heard it from our parents, is the sexual health literacy piece. So that's our focus for this year, is we're looking to have contract an expert in sexual health education, and then have them walk alongside us as we develop our lessons, and then co-teach them with to our students at the secondary level.
Thanks. And so if there's any questions, we're happy to at least try to answer them. And I noticed that Chris did put in the chat the provincial strategy, so that we've really worked hard to try to align our strategy with the provincial strategy.
Looks like there's a question from Blue Mountain Rep, Amber.
Hi, I was just wondering, the sexual health literacy, is that going to be something that's going to be introduced into the elementary schools too as lessons? Because as PACs, we've had to hire on our own for people to come in to educate our students on that.
Yeah, so sexual health literacy is part of the curriculum from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. And of course, it's all developmentally appropriately as we move along. And certainly we have been looking at how can we support our teachers in presenting sexual health education, And right now the focus is at the secondary for this year, but we will continue to bring in, we don't have it for this coming Pro D Day, but we often have somebody from options come in and they present on how to teach about sexual health, because it is an area that not everybody is comfortable with, and it takes a little bit of understanding and to develop that. And so our teachers are all in different places, and we do offer the professional development if they are feeling they need a little bit more. And then I understand that often elementary schools and PACs bring in a sexual health educator yearly as well to supplement that sexual health education piece.
You muted, Amber.
Great, thank you. That was, yeah, the feedback I had heard from some teachers, that they have it in their curriculum, but many of them do not feel comfortable teaching that to their students. So that's why we've always hired somebody else to come in, but I don't know if that's something that would be in the future of an outsider company to hire, or if that's just going to be given to the teachers' mandate still to get that done then.
Ideally, over time, it's much like mental health literacy and substance use literacy. We really want to equip our teachers to feel confident and comfortable in teaching the curriculum. And so that's part of my role as the Safe and Caring School principal, is to ensure to hear what they're needing and then to find avenues around providing access to those trainings and that professional development.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I'll just add too, is that part of PACS bringing sort of body science educators in, is that a lot of that information actually goes out to parents as well. So it's not just educating the kids in the classroom, but they'll give a presentation to the parents and they'll say, this is what we're talking to your kids about. This is how you can apply these at home. And they usually include videos and all kinds of things. So PACs that do that, and I know our PAC does, we do it every other year, just because of the way that the grades work. But it's a great, really, yes, it's to benefit the kids, but really it's that partnership between kids and parents, bridging that gap for those parents. I'm not one of them, but for parents who feel uncomfortable talking about that kind of stuff, then there's some tools and stuff that they can use for that. So it's also that for that too. Any other questions for Sherry or Shannon on that? I can't quite see everybody, so just unmute if you want to. Okay, all right then. I'll say thank you very much. I know Shannon's going to stay. Sherry, you're welcome to stay as well. But thank you both for the presentation and for your information. And yeah, everybody can use the link. And like I say, the PowerPoint slides will be made available to everyone in PDF format. So all the links that are in the slides will be available to everyone. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we're moving right along, right back to Shannon again, who's standing in for Harry tonight. And thank you, Shannon, and go ahead.
Thanks. I don't think I've ever talked quite so much at a DPAC meeting before. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the strategic facilities plan that the district is undergoing right now. And some of you will recall and probably took part in our last plan, which was back in 2015. And at that time, enrollment was in fact declining at secondary and leveling off at our elementary schools. And so we were talking a little bit more about how do we fill our schools and that sort of thing. Now in 2021, we're experiencing year-over-year growth in enrollment, and that's projected to happen for the next many years. And in fact, we grew by almost an elementary school at elementary this year, and quite a bit at our secondary as well. And so the importance of the facilities review right now, I think, is quite timely. So the facilities plan will identify and rationalize kind of what are the requirements for our current sites that already exist, our new schools, if we get any facility upgrades, any educational programs that are needed in terms of the condition of the building, the aesthetics of the buildings, the seismic stuff, and the ongoing maintenance. I'm looking at all of those kinds of things. So up to date so far in the strategic facilities review document, which I think I just saw Chris put in the chat. You can go on to the website and kind of see what's happened to date. We have met with both the cities of Pitt Meadows and the cities of Maple Ridge to get their input in terms of what they're seeing in terms of the communities. We have met with the educational partner groups to get their input. We've had an expanded Board of Education Advisory Committee, which included representation from the Aboriginal Education Advisory and DPAC and some community members as well were invited to participate in that. And then we had a session with 60 students from grade 6 to grade 12 from across all of our schools give their input as well. And it was really exciting and I think heartwarming to hear what our kids had to say about facilities of the future, and really thoughtful commentary on being environmentally sustainable, creating safety, all kinds of things. That was really encouraging to see. So next steps will be to engage the public more broadly. So we have a survey coming out very shortly to collect some feedback that will help develop the strategy document. So what we're hoping is that as we develop a plan, you will all take part in the survey, have a read of what's being recommended, and will participate in it, because the intent of these the surveys and gathering the input is that we really hear from folks about what's currently working, what we need to hold on to, and what isn't working. For example, even just this afternoon talking with some people from DPAC and hearing about Susquehanna, Harry and I both said, we actually need to talk to that school because it's the most current school we have, and what in those facilities is having an impact, and what should we reconsider. So just to close around facilities review, really want to encourage your participation as we move forward in this process. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Shannon, I know that when we participated in the facilities of the future thing, and there was the PDF for that. I can't find it on the district website, but is it okay if we share that, the one that went out for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shannon, I have a question for you. Actually, I'm the communications coordinator for DPAC, and I'm also the chair of the PAC at Tuscanela. I'm just wondering, do playgrounds fall under the umbrella of strategic facility plan?
It would. Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
Because I know we don't have a playground.
I know. I've sat in a couple of DPAC meetings where I've heard that. So yeah,
Okay.
It would definitely be something you could include.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Shannon on that? And we'll put the facilities of the future public engagement timeline and framework. We'll make sure that the link gets into the PDF there as well. And I think Shannon is also speaking for the school board trustees. They are all at a conference tonight, so they passed on their regrets and they weren't able to make it, and that's fine. But we did include the links that they had for the strategic facilities review, and I totally forgot about the future one. So the links for there are all under there. And they also wanted to pass on that the policies there are policies under review that have been approved for public input. And when those get put out, those policies for review will be on the school district website as well. Shannon, if you want to add anything.
No, that I have nothing else from them to add at this point.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I just included those links from them, but the same as what Shannon was talking about before. And when the survey comes out, it's important that as many people as possible participate in. And we have Trevor here from the MRTA. So welcome, Trevor. It's all yours.
All right, thanks. So, sorry, this is a bit new to me, so I'm just trying to get familiar with the process, but just reporting out on what's happening with teachers from our perspective. So yeah, I mean, we have rollout now. We have parent-teacher meetings are happening at the moment. We've got Pro D happening tomorrow, so hopefully those are all running smoothly. We have probably. I think it's no surprise that COVID has taken an emotional toll on a lot of people, students, my own kids as well, and the teachers as well. So I think that has people a little bit afraid without the capacity that they would have had ordinarily. So we're trying to keep on top of that and making sure that they're, emotionally supported in what they're going through, because it is still a difficult year for a lot of teachers. I would say that the two areas that are sort of where we're primarily focused on at the moment, what's causing a bunch of a pinch point for a lot of teachers is the lack of support teachers. There's probably the most friction right now when support teachers are getting pulled from the time that they offer support to cover shortages. And so that means that a lot of classes just don't get the support that they would otherwise. And that, of course, causes a bit of friction between teachers who count on that to get support for their students. But when the support teachers are getting pulled, of course, then that doesn't feel great, right? Because those support teachers want to be there giving the support to the students, and but they're unfortunately having to cover a lot of those shortages. So that's sort of one area, I guess, of friction. I think for another area of friction would be the COVID notifications. Teachers have found it very frustrating that they're not giving parents and school notifications anymore. I met with Dr. Zabar last Friday and was a bit disappointed that they won't be giving notifications, as I think a lot of parents think they will be. Like when the announcement was to say notifications will be restored, I was disappointed that Dr. Zabar said what that means is there's a website that you'll be able to go on to if you're a parent every day and see if notifications have been, but they won't be mailed out the same way. So I think that's sort of been a bit of a contentious issue for teachers who want parents to know when there's exposures in school and feel like, because the teachers get told, but they aren't able to communicate that. So I think that causes, so those are kind of the two pinch points right now for where teachers are at, feeling like they want to, but the rules are pretty clear. They can't communicate that out. So the parents have to go onto those notification website if they want to know. And but other than that, I think yeah, those are sort of the two things. Other than that, we're just trying to keep, teachers, students, I mean, back to as much as normal possible. So we're seeing more of the in-person meetings happening. I think hopefully that has a positive impact. And I know that coming back to, no more, what are they called, cohorts, has had a significant impact for a lot of people positively, my kids included. But I think a lot of teachers do like not having to have this very artificial way of doing school community. So there's positives, there's some struggles, but I'd say probably the shortages of support teachers getting pulled to cover places is probably the biggest one. And then the COVID notifications. Those are the sort of the two pinch points that we're seeing for teachers and how it affects classrooms and kids. Thanks.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Amber.
Hi, Trevor. Yeah, just to let you know, like, I'm sure you probably already do know this, but I hear it from parents all the time. They see the same thing happening. You teachers need way more support in your classrooms with what they have to deal with, and they need definitely more time from the support teachers that are supposed to be there and are getting pulled away. I was looking at this issue, I think, gosh, what is that, 3 years ago now, and I was looking to write a resolution for it. Is that the right word? And then the AGM got canceled because of the COVID thing. But yeah, that's something I'd like to dive back into at some point too. Like that issue really needs to be brought more to like the surface of attention, because it's something that's always talked about on the outskirts, but nothing's ever like, some things are done because I do see more support teachers being added, but it's still not what is absolutely necessary in the classrooms that those teachers need for the support they need for those students.
Yeah, I would say that I mean, you know, the support teachers get into that role because they do, you know, want to see that significant improvement in the kids. And those needs are acute, right? They're more than just, you know, the regular classroom experience. And so when they're unable, like they're getting pulled a lot. And so when they don't, I mean, I understand when parents are saying, why didn't I get any feedback? Why didn't I? But I mean, they're doing in many times two jobs at that point, and something's got to drop off. And I think it is hard on those teachers. I just had a significant sort of back and forth between teachers and support teachers. You know, they don't like to look their colleagues in their eyes and say, I'm sorry, I can't come to your class and help the students again. But I have to go make coverage somewhere else. So that's sort of like where, speaking about all the social emotional, I mean, that's where it's having its toll, those COVID notifications, and then the knowing what has to happen for those kids, and then feeling frustrated and disappointed they can't. So.
Any other questions for Trevor on that? And I'll just say, Trevor, we actually raised that with the district at our meeting today about the shortages of teachers and or staff altogether. And I mean, it's a concern for us, for parents, for the sake of the staff and their well-being as well, but also for parents who like, how close are we to getting schools shut down because we don't have enough staff and that kind of thing. And I know there are a couple of schools have, not in our district, but have already been shut down. And I know this is just the time we have. It's a shortage across the province and for staff. And I would just ask PACs, when you talk to parents, you know, parents who are saying, you know, how come my kid has a different teacher again today, and this kind of stuff. Remember that staff are following the same guidelines as students. And if you don't pass the daily health check, you got to stay home. So it's the same thing applies to staff. And if they're not feeling well, they got to stay home, or they don't pass they've got to stay home. So when parents, if you hear parents complaining about that, please just let them know to be supportive of all the staff that are there. Everyone's doing the best that they can with what they have. And hopefully this is a short-term thing, but it's probably going to continue through the sort of flu months of October, November, December. And just to be patient and supportive of our staff who are doing the best they can. Shannon, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that, and if you were at the board meeting, you did hear it yesterday. The other piece we need on top of that is we need to graduate more teachers from our universities. So really asking the province and the universities to look at expanding the number of teachers that they are graduating to help support the shortage.
I mean, and Trevor, I mean, there isn't too much we can do other than just to offer our support and our understanding that, you know, that all the staff are doing the best they can, and they aren't, you know, some kids aren't getting the attention that they need right now. And unfortunately, that's kind of what we have to do, because that's kind of what we have. And we just have to be a little bit patient, I think, until we get through this, as, you know, as hard as it is for all of us. So thank you, Trevor, for your thoughts on that.
Thanks.
Oh.
Thanks.
And then QP wasn't able to make it tonight as well. I'll just put out another reminder for parents to put out notices, or PACs to put out notices to your parents and to remind them if they're booking absences, especially now with we're seeing a larger number of absences this time of year for students. They can book absences on the portal. Having a phone call or phoning in late, making a phone call takes up the time for the secretary, who takes away from things that the other things they could be doing. And if you forget to phone in the absence, the secretary then has to track them down. And this is a time consuming thing to make sure that they're safe, because they don't know if they weren't supposed to be at school or not. So just remember, remind parents, they can book their absences on portal. They can book it the night before. They can book it the morning of. They can book it, even book it a week or 2 or 3 months in advance if they want to. And you can schedule, if you know you're going to be away for a vacation, you can book that off on portal, and then you don't have to worry about remembering to phone the school. So just remind parents that that is a tool for them that really makes it helpful, and is a safety issue for our kids in the school as well, to make sure that they're accounted for shortly after the first bell. So thank you. And Grant or Chad is here as well today, unless I'm mistaken. Chad, Grant, I don't think so. And then we will go to Paulina for our treasurer's report.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so our gaming account currently stands at $3,980. The gaming grant came in October, so this is as of September 30th. So we do have another $2,500 in there. Everyone's gaming grant should have come in. Our general account stands at $5,814.38 for a total of $9,794.38. If we add the gaming grant in there, it would be $12,294.38. Thank you.
Thanks, Paulina. And we're going to be hopefully talking about, well, we will be talking about our budget for next year, and what we're going to be able to do with this. Unfortunately, of course, we haven't been able to spend the money that we've had for the last couple of years because of COVID, because we usually spend that on our appreciation dinners and other events and stuff like that we just haven't been able to hold. So it looks like it's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money for us, but it's not because we're trying to be grinchy about it. It's hard for us to spend it anywhere because we can't do anything.
Not hoarding.
Not hoarding, yeah, not intentionally anyway. So then we'll go on to old business, which is left over from last time. So we have an update on the SD42 DPAC Inclusive Education Committee. And Shauna, if you can go ahead with that.
Yeah, currently we are still in the beginning process of the committee. We're working on data collection at the moment. We have our first meeting coming on Tuesday, the 26th at 7. And we will be putting out a parent perspective survey within the next week. So that'll help us target some areas that we need to focus on. And that's it.
I made it. Sorry. Any questions for Shauna? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll go on then to the next one, which is that we still have a vacancy for our vice chair position, for the DPAC vice chair position. So whether that is any other executive that would like to consider that position, or any one of you that would like to consider that position, either way, we'll have a vacancy if one of our other executives decides to move into that one, or if it remains vacant. So if anybody would like to consider being on the executive for DPAC, please let us know. We can appoint in the interim and then acclaim or establish later. But if you're interested in thinking about that, please let us know. There's lots of support within the executive to do, and we share the workload of what needs to be done. And also just a reminder of the PAC 101 workshop. It is open to all SD42 parents. It is this Saturday from 10 a.m. till noon. There is a free Zoom registration link. The Zoom link is required in order to access the Zoom video. And I'll put in the two things here as well. And it's our first time doing PAC 101, and well, since before I can remember. So bear with us. But that is this Saturday. It does start at 10, but we're asking for those who are going to be joining to start a little bit earlier, because we're starting the YouTube portion right at 10, and we want to make sure that everybody is set up before we do that. Let's do this quickly. Thank you. Okay. And next, we'll be on to new business from our agenda. And the next is just a reminder. I was actually hoping Tanya would be here to talk about it because she knows more than I do. But next is this is for DPAC executives only. So if you're looking at joining the DPAC executive in the vacancy that we have with the vice chair, you'll be able to participate in the BCC PAC DPAC Executive Summit, which is a 2-day event, which has a number of speakers and different topics and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in looking at this, and it's only open, this one is only open to DPAC executives. But for some of the information on some of the things that you could go to participate in there, I've included the link there as well. And later on, there's another parent event similar to that. And we usually send or fund 10 parents out of the district to participate in that. And that's usually coming up in April or May, I think. I don't have any details on that yet, but something to think of. But that's open to any parent in SD42. And we usually fund for up to 10 to go to that. Next on the agenda, any questions on any of that? Okay, we'll carry on then. And the next will be the SD42 DPAC budget proposal. So hopefully everybody can see that. I'll just give a quick view here. This is what we have. So before we get into any discussion on that, can I please have a motion that DPAC approve the 2021-2022 budget as presented? So moved. Can I get a seconder? Oh, seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on that? And I'll show the budget again. So everybody can take a look at that. And if anybody has any questions at all, please fire away. And if you can't quite see it, I'll put it in the chat here as well. I'm multitasking like crazy, so bear with me. It's like my old police dispatching days. Any questions on the budget before we call the question? Just want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to ask any questions. This is your money, your budget. Okay, seeing none, then we will call the question. And this is for, again, just for DPAC reps. All of our partner groups and parents, PAC executives are always welcome to attend our meetings, but it is the executive and the DPAC reps who are our official members. Oh. I keep forgetting I get to vote too because I'm the Alexander Robinson DPAC rep. It's the first time I've ever voted. Okay, I think that's good. If we can end the poll and share the results. And the motion is carried. Thank you very much. So we now have our budget for 2021-2022. Thank you very much. And so next I will pass this on to Craig, and it'll be for our SD42 DPAC COVID-19 safety protocol survey, which went out to the PACs and the DPAC reps. And Craig, take it away.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to go over, the survey was sent out from SD42. It was an SD42 initiative only, so it wasn't a province-wide. It was sent out to PAC reps on September 30th. We did receive 9 engaged schools, and they were all elementary schools that replied. We had a total of 15 surveys come back. Some of them were duplicates or overrepresented of the school, but we just merged that information together to compile this report. And then this did start with the initiative for the K-3 mask wearing, and then we did find out October 1st that that was issued as a mandate. So 66% of the schools reported that they were aware of concerns and either not enough safety measures were put in place or parents were showing anxiety. One school did indicate that they were unaware of what complaints their admin had received. 78% indicated mask requirements to include K-3 would make the school community feel more comfortable. And some of the recommendations for restrictions to come forward were 100% of the return results asked for enhanced contact tracing. 78% requested vaccine requirements for teacher and school staff. 89% requested school exposure notifications to be improved. 89% requested increased remote learning options. 78% requested comprehensive testing. There were a few other ones with just kind of more average numbers, and then we did have 2 extra recommendations from schools. One included sinks in their portables, and parents to wear masks on school grounds and drop off. And then 89% of the return results state that not enough information to make a well-informed decision to send their children to school or not. And this would be around COVID notifications. And back to you, Chris.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the survey that went out? So if you have, just unmute yourself and start to talk. Okay, well, thank you, Craig, for putting up the survey. And thank you for the PACs that responded. This was before the K-3 mandate or requirement came into place. But it's part of it is a good sense to get of where parents are at, or certainly their understanding of it. And I think that helps us in how we communicate the information that we need to get to parents, depending on how they feel. And we've seen that a lot. You know, it's a tough time, and everybody seem to be getting into different corners about things. So it's always good to have the conversation. Craig, did you want to add anything else, or are you just good for that?
The only thing that I'll add is that as DPAC reps or executive, if anybody does wish to put a motion forward with that information for the DPAC to advocate to the school board or upward to support any initiatives or further requirements, that can be put forward at any time.
So I'll unless someone wants to add something, and anyone can bring forward a motion. If there is a motion that you'd like to bring forward at the next meeting, we can certainly help you draft the motion. If that's something like you do for any issue, our DPAC members can always bring forth a motion, or if a PAC wants to bring forth the motion, they pass that on to the DPAC rep, and the DPAC rep brings it here. So those are things to think about. If anybody would like to bring forward a motion for us to advocate for anything or take a position, we have the motion, the DPAC reps vote, and we take it from there. It is our job as the executive to carry out the will of you collectively, the majority of the PAC. So please keep that in mind. And any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the next one then, which is the Zoom survey poll for current PAC fundraising in, online, or at your school. And also it's all one poll with 5 different questions, and we're just trying to get a sense of sort of how many school. I mean, not every school is here, but we're just trying to get an idea. It's not a criticism or anything. It's just we're just curious to see how many schools are able to do fundraising, how they're doing it. Katie, if you don't mind putting up that one. And if you're a PAC and don't have a DPAC rep here, please feel free. This is really about what PACs are doing. This is not an official, this is just a survey. So if you're a PAC and don't have a DPAC rep here, please feel free to fill it out. And these are all anonymous. We don't know, doesn't show anybody who's voting for whatever. And I guess it's just sort of for us to get an idea how many schools are actually able to do it and how many aren't. And I get to do this too. So we'll just give that a minute or so for everyone to sort of have a chance. And again, it's just sort of for us to get an idea, and then sort of for everyone else. I know people have been asking about hot lunches and fundraising and stuff like that, and you get to see an idea of, and again, it doesn't show which PACs or which schools are doing it. It is anonymous, but just to sort of get an idea of what our school district currently looks like. And we are optimistic for the future, but probably not for a while yet. So I know certainly at our school, and I'm happy to speak for my school, we don't, we are doing some fundraising outside of the school, but we're not in the school at all. And that's for a number of different factors. Our school really isn't equipped to have volunteers inside, given the nature and the size. And we're not confident that our community is ready for that. So those are the considerations that we made, which you're required to consider under the K-12 guidelines. Okay, we'll give it 30 more seconds. So I didn't have music for this. This is the longest one, and I don't have any music for it.
That's why you had to ask me to launch the poll, because there was no music. So I didn't.
Right, exactly. Yeah, my fault.
Can I
Note to
request
self.
Lord of the Rings for the next
Yes,
one? Go along
absolutely.
with the general theme of this. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
grandiose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll give it 15 more seconds for people to finish up. 15. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Katie, if you can wrap it up and let's see what it says. So we have, looks like 3 are fundraising with in-school access, and 12 are not. We have 12 fundraising outside, so that's good. And we've got 3 that are not. 3 are doing hot lunches with in-school access, and the majority are not. And this is pretty much typical, I think, of what we're seeing within the district. Have hot lunches without school access. Oh, that's good. So there's some having hot lunches. And any volunteers? So there is access for some volunteers, which is good. And just remember, this is all the each principal has a discretion to make this, right? We're all, you know, and they're required to make sure that the conditions are met. So for those principals that are uncomfortable with having volunteers access, we need to respect that, because they are responsible, and there's a lot of work that they have to do for that. If they can make it work, that's great. Not all principals are able to do that, or unwilling to do that if they feel that their community isn't ready for it. So we just have to keep that in mind, that we're just going to have to be patient, and these things will happen when they happen. Any questions on the survey or comments on the survey? Our little ad hoc survey. Okay, we'll go into the next one. So this is here, just a reminder, or I guess the first time we're sort of, for most people, as in our grade 8 presentation that we do in January, thanks to, well, Shannon's done it in the past, and I think we have Ken Kober doing it this January. We have David Vandergooten, who's going to be doing the K registration information session. And I'll put this in here as well. Oops. So this is also by registration. It is open to up to 80 parents, but it's also being broadcast on YouTube as well. So for those that can't get into the Zoom portion, for parents who have questions, and this is for first-time registering, first-time parents registering for kindergarten, returning parents registering for kindergarten. It'll include things like accessing portal if you didn't have portal access, how to link children if you have previous children, and how to link it on portal, the phases, program options that are available, whether you're a brand new parent or returning parent. So this will be our first one for K registration. It's really David and the district that's sort of putting this together. We're just helping to facilitate it. So if you're in other parent groups, especially those who are pre-K, or if kids that are going, I know I get tons of questions about kindergarten. Please be sure to pass on the link to them, and we'll start putting that out there to all those parents as well, because they're not on portal yet, so we can't, especially the new portals parents. So it's tougher to get a hold of them to let them know about this. So it's not like we can
That was
just send it-
exactly my question. How
Yeah.
are we gonna get that information out there for them?
Yeah, so we're starting early, and the hope is for all of you packs to pass it on within your pack, for people to pass it on, because a lot of it is word of mouth from other parents, and then they can say, oh, here's the link for this, and that's
Or
gonna
sharing
be
it
a-
on social media as well.
yeah, sharing it on social media as well, and just putting it out there, because yeah, we don't have that portal access to say, you know, here's the meeting too, especially the new K parents. And does anybody have any questions on that? Let's put this here as well. Okay, so just a reminder for that. Thank you. And Pack Voice, any questions, any discussion on, and this is for anyone, DPAC reps, member partner groups, anybody have any questions? Trevor.
I was just curious so Craig, maybe I could have asked the question while you were on that survey. So one of the things that I was curious about is, like, I understand that the rules about notifications are sort of dictated way above us, and you know, that kind of stuff. But like, so aside from the fact that parents are feeling like they're not getting enough information from Fraser Health to make an informed decision, like, do you get an idea of the tenor or the tone of how strong the feeling is, other than like a numerical? Like, are parents like, yeah, I don't like it, but whatever, or is it a strong feeling? Like, because I know it's a big issue for teachers. I was just curious what parents feel like that. I mean, it's definitely been a frustration for teachers that the information is, well, I think for a lot of us, we would say it's probably unreliable or inaccurate. And so I think that whether that's something that parents are, yeah, I guess I'm just curious, like, how, what do you feel like the tone is for how strongly they feel that way?
So for myself, like, I can speak for experience as a parent. From the survey, it's kind of generalized of the feelings, and we didn't go into full depth of that on the surveys. In my experience, for the notifications specifically, is it's quite equal to the teachers to be able to, like, receive that information. It's quite delayed, and parents have to outsource it, or they're waiting for something to show up on social media and guess where the notification is coming from. It's hard to actually gauge where, you know, how at risk is your child. Is it one case, or is it not even being included because it happened off of school property, right? So I think there is a lot of concern, especially around the notification still, and parents are either ignoring it and just sending their kids, or they really don't know the proper steps to take because they don't have that information to make a good judgment call.
Yeah, I just appreciate it, because like I know that when Bonnie Henry made the announcement that they'd even be doing notifications again, she specifically mentioned that parent pressure was a big contributing point to that decision to include that. So I just, you know, was curious how our community was feeling about it too.
And that's where I would encourage anybody that feels the same way, is to put a motion forward that we can advocate to see those enhanced. And I know that was spoken to at a recent meeting we had with PHO and Ministry of Education about notifications and what could actually be included on those notifications. So that was being brought back to the table, but I haven't heard any resolution from that.
I know that at Tuscanela, when we had a bunch of cases, a lot of parents kept their kids home just as a precaution, because they were nervous, because they didn't feel that they were getting the actual information in time. So they just decided to do that on their own. Definitely more information is always better.
Yeah.
I am from Wanik, and definitely would be happy to put forward a motion. Have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So is the best way to do that to just reach out in an email, or what's the case? Because I've got other PAC members texting me right now about this hot topic, going, yeah, let's put something forward.
Please.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Craig.
I was gonna say, just please reach out to DPAC either through email or.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can definitely, I mean, sort of get a sense of what you want to do with the motion, and then we'll help you draft it so that it comes across. I've also sat on the BC CPAC resolutions committee, so I can help you draft a resolution that you want to bring forward. Whether I agree with it or not is not the point. It's just whatever you want to put forward, I'll help you draft that so that you can bring it forward in what you mean it to be.
Is there like examples to kind of like in terms of how they want it structured and stuff, or just
yeah, I can
Okay.
give you, I'll what I'll do is which email do you want me to send it to?
Mine, I guess. I'll put it in the comments.
Sure, yeah, put it in the comments. I'll reach out to you, and then I'll send you some sort of ideas. It sort of depends on what it is that you want to bring forward, but I'll give you sort of a little bit of a format of how to do that, and then we can go from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions on that? And there are the links there as well for the BC COVID-19 situation report, which just is the October update that came out. So that is also a good read as well. I'll put these, oh, here we are. Put these in here as well. Oh, I just have the two, but there's also the link for the Fraser Health daily updated school exposure link. It is updated every morning around 9 a.m. From the previous day. I don't have those other links handy, but I will make sure that they get through as well. And then while I do this, Craig, are you able to just talk about this quickly? I know you guys have already registered for the active school travel pilot program.
Yeah, I can touch on it quickly.
Perfect.
So the active school transport pilot project is run through the province, to my understanding. And on November 4th from 10 to 11, they're going to be running a session. During the session, they'll go over, I believe they did one pilot project before. And so they're going to have some of those schools that participated present on their outcomes from that. It's $10,000 grants, or up to $10,000 grants that they're going to be providing to schools. They are, if I recall correctly, it's geared more or more in favor to remote schools and to a higher population of Indigenous population. But I would encourage everybody to register that is having any active school transport concerns or looking for this grant that would benefit their school community. Yeah.
Thank you, Craig. And I know that the pilot Zoom webinar at least has some information. So if you're interested in that on November 10th, again, you register for that as well, but it's free, and it's just for an hour, so that you'll be able to get some more helpful information on what that'll look like for your school. So just something else to consider there as well. And I know that at the provincial level, we're looking at, well, there used to be one a couple of years ago, so this actually is brand new to me, and this is something I've sort of been working on as well for the last little while. So it's good to see that there's something happening at the provincial level in regards to AST. So any other questions on the AST or anything like that? Or any other questions?
There's a question in the chat.
Oh. Yes, all the links that are in the chat are already actually in the PDF. So as soon as we wrap up the meeting tonight, since I don't think I'll have to change very much, and we'll be putting out the Coles Notes minutes, which is sort of the PDF presentation, which includes all the links to that in that, and hopefully should have that out to everybody in about an hour. So any other questions? Any other before I ask for a motion? Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything anybody would like to say?
Can I just ask one question about the traffic stuff, Craig? I don't know if you know. So is this to help to help our school, like if kids are walking and it's dangerous type thing? Because I would love to promote something like that, but right now we couldn't, because I don't want a kid getting killed because I'm telling them to walk to school.
So my understanding is yes, it's to benefit active school transport and the barriers. So I know we've been referred to it because Yanadin Elementary School is actively working through active school transport and transportation safety measures with crosswalks and all that. Now, what the actual $10,000 is allowed to go towards, I don't know. And so that's what we're hoping to find out during that session.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just add too that it's a number of different things. Part of it is safety. There are other partner groups that we're looking at including right now. This one includes the Ministry of Transportation, which is one of the partner groups we were looking at. Other partner groups include BC Transit, who have their own safe active travel programs. ICBC has their own safe active travel programs. BCAA, I'm not sure if they still do, but they used to have crossing guard type thing. Depending on your school, you needed a crosswalk, not an intersection, but a crosswalk. If you had one of those, they provided materials and training for that. So BCA might be a partner. The UBCM, the Union of BC Municipalities, because they also play a role in travel. So there's a lot of different partners that are included in active travel. So we're hoping that that's something that we'll get to. Any other questions on AST or anything like that? Oh, and I see we have a bunch of new people. So welcome to everybody. I hope this was something along the lines of what you were expecting. And just a reminder again for the PAC 101 on Saturday, we are taking registrations up to the morning before, but it does help, at least if you can register tonight. If you're interested, if you can register tonight or tomorrow, it gives me an idea of where to gauge some of the presentation. And it's not a presentation about telling you guys what to do. It is just sharing my experience. And we don't enforce anything. We don't judge PACs for what they do or don't do. It's just to give some foundation. It's called We Don't Know What We Don't Know, and that's sort of our starting point. And to have the discussion and to share some ideas of what's been working for some and what's working for others, and just to sort of share our experiences in that. So I encourage you all for that. And with that, then I'll ask for a mover to that the meeting, on a motion that the meeting be adjourned. Oh, nobody wants to adjourn. Okay, that's fine. We can. Oh, we got a mover. Okay, any seconder? Oh, we got a seconder. Thank you very much. Any discussion on adjourning the meeting? Okay, saying none, then I will call a question. Oh, I get to vote. See, I keep forgetting about this. Just because I can. Okay, I think that's everybody. So if we can share the results. And the motion is carried. All right, thank you very much. Thank you to all our partner groups. Thank you to our DPAC reps for participating, all our PACs, and to Shannon and Sherry for bearing with us. And thanks to Trevor for giving us your insight. It's the more that we learn, and like I say, the more information we have about all these things, the better we can understand and help each other and collaborate better to provide better opportunities and improve learning outcomes for our students. So thank you to everyone, and good night.
So I may have somebody to be our VP.
Oh, okay. Give me one sec. I just gotta.
something back?